Okay, welcome to the Wrestling Angle, guys. I'm not gonna let the timer finish out. I want to get this show started. Get my microphone situated. Um, so tonight we're gonna do something a little special. I'm going to we're gonna review Smackdown, so the go home show to Elimination Chamber. Which was a pretty good show. And then we're gonna do something a little special. We're gonna do a watch along, and there's been a lot of talk on social media about the Barbwire Death Match that Kenny Omega and John Moxley are gonna be in. So we are gonna do a watch along of the 1995 King of the Deathmatch Finals with Cactus Jack and Terry Funk. And the special surprise that I hinted today, I actually own the VHS that I converted to DVD, but I'm gonna, after we get done reviewing SmackDown, I'm going to tell you a story about how I came about to get that VHS tape and the person that talked me into buying it. And then we're not going to be actually watching the actual DVD that I have. We're going to be watching a YouTube video that I found, and it actually has Mick Foley's commentary on it. So I watched the whole video, and it's very interesting, his thoughts on the match. I wish they could have got Terry Funk, but I believe when this was shot, it was shot a long time ago, and it was just shot with Mick Foley. So that's that. So let's first off, you probably saw a couple new things on my start page. I got my socials down there, my Twitter, my Facebook page, and my Instagram. And I get to add YouTube. It is now official. I am officially on YouTube. I got it set up, and it's actually streaming to YouTube tonight. So we are streaming not only to Twitch, Facebook, but we are also streaming to YouTube. And the channel is the Wrestling Angle 1, just like the Facebook page. So whoever's watching it on Facebook, or whoever's watching it on YouTube, welcome to the show. This is the Wrestling Angle. My name is Chad Z. I'm your host, and basically what I do is I review shows, talk about news, and we do watch-alongs. And got some future things set up. Hopefully they work out. And I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag, but I'm in the process of working on something, and hopefully it works out for the best. We will see. If you're following me on Twitch and you like what you see, shoot me a follow. I have a goal of getting 50 followers by my birthday, which is 3/23. Turning the big 49 this year, one more before 50, and then I officially become old. So I already feel it. So you can follow me on Facebook too, the Wrestling Angle 1. I've got a bunch of people that are part of the group, and they followed me today. I want to welcome Eric Hayden, Vince Meese. I got a brand new follow from a Lunaboth2 on Twitch. and all the other people that have followed me in the past. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I love talking wrestling, and I mean, like my daughter was saying, we were sitting there watching Smackdown, and I'm reading a book right now called The Death of the Territories, and she says to me that what's a territory, and I had to sit there and explain it to her, and she said, Dad, you could really talk about wrestling for hours. Well, she's right about that. I've done that on here, and I love what I do. I love wrestling. I've loved it since 1984. I've explained that in past streams. So, but that's enough about me. Let's talk about SmackDown. SmackDown was a very good show tonight. It's the go home show to Elimination Chamber, which we're going to have on Sunday. I haven't decided whether I'm going to review it or not. I probably will. It's not one of my favorite pay-per-views, but it's very interesting. So, it's so we may review it, we may not. So anyways, let's talk about SmackDown. So we get the show started, obviously with the commentators down at the commentator table. We get right off the bat, Edge's music hits, and we get Edge in the ring explaining that all his different options and all that stuff. And I've gone back and forth with this, and I had originally said that he was going to challenge Roman Reigns, and then I went against that and said that he was probably going to challenge Finn Balor for the NXT title. Well, I'm going back to the Roman Reigns thing after tonight. So basically, we get Edge in the ring. He's explaining all his options, and then all of a sudden, Roman Reigns' music hits, and we get Roman Reigns followed by his special counsel, Paul Heyman, and Jey Uso is also out there with him. And they go back and forth, and there was a part during the segment that they both dropped the mics, and Roman walked up to Edge with his hands behind his back, and he whispered something into his ear. Generally, we can hear what they're saying, but the crowd noise was piped in so loud right to start off the bat that you couldn't really hear anything. And I don't think it was meant for us to hear it either. So we did get an interruption to the two of them talking in the ring by Sami Zayn with his documentary crew. Which, by the way, I'd like to point out that I love Sami Zayn, and for those of you that don't know, Sami Zayn was actually El Generico on the Indies, and he did. He originally came into WWE with his tryout matches as El Generico, NXT. So, but they decided to take the mask off him, and the story that was told on the Indies was El Generico has decided to retire and go down to Mexico and help starving children. So a little bit of humor there, and at the time, PWG is the one that put that over quite a bit. Excalibur, who is now on AEW, is the head commentator and the only commentator for PWG, and he put that over pretty big. So we get Zayn. He interrupts the interview segment, and he's talking about how WWE management is conspiring against him, and he's furious that Reigns and Edge aren't taking him seriously. He told the camera crew to get a good shot of him pointing at the WrestleMania sign, and he originally said for the cameraman to get it, and then he told the cameraman to get out of the way and let his camera crew document it. So that's when we get that's where we get the stare down with Reigns, where he puts his hands behind his back and he whispers something to Edge, and then he walks off. This is a real good opening segment, and these two going back and forth is what has basically changed my mind about Edge challenging for the title, for the Universal title, I should say. So, next up we get Shinsuke Nakamura. He goes up against Apollo Crews. They're really doing a great job getting Nakamura back up into the title picture, whether it be just the Intercontinental belt. He ended up defeating Apollo Crews. The funny thing was that Big E was out there doing commentary, and he was sitting on a couch, had his feet in one of those feet massagers that you put your feet in water and they massage your feet. And then he had a TV dinner, which was referenced by Corey Graves, that are you planning on sharing the brownie with the winner of this match? And he's saying, obviously, Big E says hell no. So Nakamura ended up defeating Apollo Crews. The big news in this one, it looks like Apollo Crews has officially turned heel. He beat the hell out of Nakamura after the match, and then when Big E interfered or came in to make the save, he started beating the hell out of Big E too. So it looks like that Apollo Crews is officially a heel. Now hopefully they didn't say anything about a match for Big E at the Elimination Chamber. But hopefully they put a triple threat match with him, Nakamura, and Apollo Crews for the IC belt. Although they did stretch her Big E out because Apollo hit Big E with the steel stairs. So here's another reason why it's good that they didn't have the crowd, because when the camera shot back to Big E after the stairs were thrown down, it looked like he rolled from underneath the ring. Obviously the fans can't see that, they're just seeing what the hard camera is showing, and so that's the advantage of not having fans. So as they're rolling Big E up the rampway after the attack by Apollo, Seth Rollins' music hits. My daughter brought up a good point, is that they're not using his Messiah music. They're actually using the Burn It Down music that he used before when he was a babyface. But he is definitely a heel. This thing with him talking about his vision and all that stuff, I don't know. I don't know if it's the right storyline or where it's going. If it's set up to have have a match between him and Cesaro, they can do that on Smackdown. They don't need to have it at WrestleMania or the Elimination Chamber. Plus, Cesaro's already in the Elimination Chamber, so maybe Rollins comes out and interferes and cause Cesaro the match or whatever. But I don't really know where they're going with this gimmick. Another thing that they're doing now, I don't know if you guys noticed, on the side when the wrestlers come out, they bring out the blue box. This is the first time I've noticed it. Maybe they've been doing it for a couple weeks and I just haven't noticed. But there's little interesting facts in there. They used to do this when Matt Hardy would come out, and they would have like a Matt Hardy fact. The reason why I noticed it is because when Seth Rollins' music hit, the blue box showed up and it said that he's engaged to Becky Lynch. So, and it said some other interesting things in there too. When I go back and watch the show, I'll have to watch for those blue boxes. But I wasn't really paying attention to that type of stuff. I was more paying attention to the matches. So then we show, Rollins. He's talking about how Cesaro is the biggest loser, and he just continues to rant, and he talks about his vision. And like I said, I don't know where they're going with this gimmick. I will say this though, the suits that Seth Rollins are wearing, I don't know who the hell is making them, but they are terrible. Last week he came out with a leather suit on, with a leather tie. This week he came out with some crazy insignia type thing suit. My daughter says he's a fashionista now. I guess so, whatever. He's supposed to be a heel, not a joke. And he has the potential to be one of the top heels in the company. So, but to have him on SmackDown with Roman Reigns being the top heel is a little difficult. So it was a lot easier when he was on Raw, and he could basically be his own person. So then we go to the back, and Edge approaches Kevin Owens, and this is a theme that goes through the entire night. He approaches all the baby faces in the match. He actually he was on his phone and he was approached by Baron Corbin, who was one of the heels in the match. But he approaches Kevin Owens. He praises Owens. He says that both him and KO are similar, and all Owens can think about is winning in the chamber so he can get a title match against Reigns. And Edge basically wished him luck, and he said it would be nice to face him at WrestleMania. So basically what this is just to kind of give you like the impression that anybody could win this match. So I don't really have a pick. I would love to see Daniel Bryan win this, win the Elimination Chamber. But I got a feeling we're going to get another Owens Reigns match, and then Reigns defeats Owens because he gets a title match right after the Elimination Chamber, and then Reigns goes on to WrestleMania to face Edge. So So that's that. So then we see Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville. They're helping the medical or the ambulance people put Big E into the ambulance. This is probably one of the reasons why I don't think we're going to see Big E at Elimination Chamber. Maybe we get another Nakamura Apollo Crews match, but having Big E after he was stretchered out, they just did a stretcher job thing with Kyle O'Reilly in NXT too. So this must be the weakest stretchers for WWE. So the next match up is Tamina and Natalya. They go up against the Riot Squad. This was a good back and forth match. Tamina really looked strong in this match. I mean, she looked incredible. Natalya took most of the bumps as far as against the baby faces, but Tamina and Natalya ended up defeating the Riot Squad. Billie Kay came to ringside again, and this time she was dressed, had Natalya's cat ears on, and she was wearing some type of, I think, a Tamina shirt. So she ended up distracting Liv Morgan, and Tamina got the pin. But like I said, Tamina looked really strong in this match, and she looked good too. So then they show footage of Sasha Banks at the Daytona 500. She was the flag girl. I don't know what they call those, the starters or whatever. I did watch the Daytona 500 until the rain delay, and then I watched the ending, which basically turned into a complete shit show. Thanks for that share, Matt. I appreciate it. So I did end up watching the Daytona 500, but I ended up seeing the ending of it too. I know this is probably gonna sound terrible for me to say this, but I really, I really watched the only race that I watch is the Daytona 500, and I basically watch it for the crashes. So I know that's probably bad to say, but it's probably not the worst thing that's ever come out of my mouth. So and then we go to the back and we get King Corbin. This is where he approaches Edge. He brags about his clothes and his watch. And Edge goes, "Look, I got a watch too," and he pulls out his phone and he says, "Look, you can even text message and all that good stuff." So that was kind of stupid, but like I said, this is just to get over the fact that anybody can win that chamber match, and this is actually the most Edge has done on a show. That's another reason why I think he's going to challenge Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. So next up we get Bayley's talk show, the Ding Dong Hello. Basically, it turns into like it's a talk show type thing, but everybody cuts each other off. Her guests were Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. As soon as they got ready to start talking, then Nia Jax was bashing Sasha Banks, and then Shayna was bashing Bianca Belair. And so then Sasha Banks' music hits, and she comes out, gets to say maybe one word, and then all of a sudden Bianca Belair's music hits, And then this was all set up to make a 6-man match with Sasha Banks, Bianca Belair, and Reginald. Carmella's, whatever they call that, concierge or whatever the hell it's called. They use a different name for it. But he's got some type of thing going on with Sasha Banks. I don't know what it is either, but it looks like he's infatuated with her. But we ended up getting the 6-woman tag match, and they went up against Nia Jax, Shayna Baszler, and Bayley, who wrestled the match with no boots on because she was dressed up for her talk show. So the babyfaces ended up winning the match. That's Sasha Banks, Bianca Belair, and then Reginald. Reginald got the crap kicked out of him during this match. And there was no mention of the whole joke either during this, so it looks like WWE is looking to drop it. It was mentioned on NXT, which they showed up on NXT. Then we go in the back and we see Kayla Braxton's getting ready to interview Cesaro, and then he talks about how Seth Rollins basically put him down during his promo, and then he says he doesn't want to talk about it. All of a sudden Edge approaches him, he praises him, and that he would see, Cesaro told Edge that he would see him at WrestleMania in the main event. So, another Edge segment. Next up, we get Rey and Dominic Mysterio versus Chad Gable and Otis. I'm not going to talk about this match too much other than the fact that the Wrestling Observer basically said this wasn't a good match and had a lame finish, which is true. It did have a lame finish, but what it looks like is that we're going to have another heel tag team with Chad Gable and Otis, because Otis basically beat the crap out of Rey Mysterio. And Dominic, I don't even think got into the match, which is fine with me because I can't stand him. I just wish he would develop his own moveset and not use his dad's. And then put a mask on him too if you want him. You want him to be like his father. I think he probably would have been better off if he would have got trained by his dad and went to AEW and tried to make a name for himself down there. But that's here nor there. I'm not going to get into a Dominic Mysterio bashing thing. I've done that enough on other streams. But we get Chad Gable and Otis. They basically turn heel. Otis did the splash on Rey, and then he also did the big splash off the top, or off the second rope onto Rey. And the Smackdown Tag Team Champions were down there, Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode, and they were they mocked the Street Profits because they had solo cups. And these two, the tag team champions, were actually shocked the fact that Otis and Chad Gable turned on the Mysterios. So we go to a break. We see Dominic helping severely injured Rey to the back. And then we get Kevin Owens, who is in the main event with Daniel Bryan and Cesaro. He gets approached, or he approached Daniel Bryan and Cesaro in the back. Owens wanted to know if they were talking strategy, and basically Bryan and Cesaro said, why should we include you in on this? Because you're going to end up turning on us in the match anyways. So, by hitting them with stunners. Which they have a point. But, yeah, that wasn't much there. And that they also said that he has a habit of turning on his partners. They mentioned, they named a few, including Kofi Kingston, Sami Zayn, and then there was a big Daniel Bryan goes, and there's also a big name that he turned on. Maybe I should have made a list. So he actually turned on Chris Jericho. So that was a little funny thing that they added in there. If you weren't watching WWE back when Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho were partners, Chris Jericho had this gimmick called The List. And, you can go back and watch that stuff on the WWE Network. But Owens basically promised that they won't have any problems in the back in the match tonight, so don't worry. But on Sunday, they're going to have problems. So it's every man for themselves in the Elimination Chamber. Then we go to the back and we see Reginald, who walks up to Carmella, who's sitting in front of a mirror. This gimmick is terrible for her. I don't get it. If you're gonna have a concierge or whatever it is, bring you champagne, then do it. But it's hard to take her as a serious worker when she's doing this bad gimmick, and she's just doing it bad. So, anyways, Carmella ended up, Reginald brought her a glass of wine, and she ended up throwing it in Reginald's face and told him to go get another glass for her. They announced that there's going to be a WWE's women's tag team championship match. Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler are going to go against Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair at Elimination Chamber. So that's another match that we got going on besides the two chamber matches. You're probably going to see Bianca face Sasha Banks too, because they've been playing on this for weeks, and she was not on Raw this past Monday that I can remember, meaning Bianca Belair. So we're going to see her challenge Sasha Banks, which is what I want to see anyways. It should be a really good match. Next up, we get the main event, which is the 6-man tag. We got Daniel Bryan, Kevin Owens, and Cesaro. They go up against Jey Uso, King Corbin, and Sami Zayn. Edge comes out and joins Michael Cole and Corey Graves on commentary. Later on in the match, we had Paul Heyman join commentary after the commentary table got destroyed. And so him and Edge had some pretty good back and forth interactions. The babyfaces ended up winning the match. Daniel Bryan, Kevin Owens, and Cesaro. They defeated Jey Uso, King Corbin, and Sami Zayn. The one thing that after the match, a huge brawl broke out. Everybody hit their finishers, and then Edge came in and he speared Jey Uso. So that's another reason why I think that you're probably going to see Edge face Roman Reigns. So all in all, I mean, it was a very good show tonight. A lot better than Raw. Raw was a go-home show for their Elimination Chamber, and Smackdown was their go-home show for Elimination Chamber. So all in all, I mean, I think it was a pretty good show. A lot of good action. Smackdown generally is. Except for last week, I didn't think it was all that great, but they didn't have a lot to build upon. So, like I said, if you get a chance, go back and watch it. It's definitely worth a watch. But that's my review of the show. Like I said, I thought it was pretty good. They did a nice job building up Edge to challenge Roman Reigns, even though he hasn't announced it. And with Roman Reigns, he ended up spearing Edge at the end of the show too. So that's another reason why I think they're gonna face each other at WrestleMania. And I think that's the match everybody wants to see. And whatever other matches we see go on. I mean, we're probably going to see the IC belt match. We're going to get the Andre the Giant Battle Royal. Maybe we'll get a Shinsuke Nakamura match against Big E. It all depends on what happens at Elimination Chamber on Sunday. But I think the big matches right now for WrestleMania are Roman Reigns versus Edge, Bianca Belair versus Sasha Banks. You're probably going to see the women's tag belts get defended. It'll probably be defended on the pre-show, I would imagine. Maybe get bring up the girls from NXT. You're probably going to get a couple NXT matches, hopefully, because I don't think the NXT's having a pay-per-view before WrestleMania. And obviously the tag belts have to be defended, so we don't know what's going to happen there. But, this WrestleMania season, it starts off with the Royal Rumble and, gets very interesting from there. The only thing is, though, is I believe because Elimination Chamber, they moved it up to February. I think we have one more pay-per-view before WrestleMania, which is Fastlane. And they're going to be pushing that for the Peacock Network. So the merger between Peacock Network and the WWE. So okay. So let me get the match set up. We're going to be doing a watch along from the 1995 King of the Death Match tournament, where it is the exploding barbed wire match between Cactus Jack and Terry Funk. And before I get the match set up, I want to tell you how I came to watch or get this VHS tape, and the person that got me to buy it. So let me get the match set up real quick so we can go right to it. Okay. Okay. Alright, so I got the match set up. So I want to talk a little bit about this. I'm not going to lie. I'm not a big fan of hardcore style matches. Although I'm a huge ECW fan. And I think the reason is because I used to be able to go to the shows. I pretty much attended every Buffalo show that they had, and I was at their pay-per-view in Buffalo too. So I'm not a real big fan of hardcore matches. But I came about this tape. There was a lot of, this is basically before the internet. I don't know when the internet was designed, but I know I didn't have it. And where they were doing tape trading. And there was this company out there called RF Video, run by Rob Feinstein, who is still in business today and doing a phenomenal job with selling DVDs and selling merchandise, and both him and HighSpots.com have done a phenomenal job during this pandemic with doing virtual signings and all that good stuff. So, back to the story. So anyways, I came about this tape. It was at a show. It wasn't an ECW show. It was a Ballpark Brawl show that had a lot of local indie talent on it, and some guys that had just left WWE and all this stuff. So this was probably in the early 2000s, I want to say. And there was a guy that worked for Rob Feinstein. His name was Doug Gentry. Or Gentry. If I pronounce it, Rob, and you're watching this, I apologize. Doug was awesome. He sat there, even though they had a table full of customers, and he said to me, "Are you a fan of Terry Funk?" And I said, "Yes." And he says, "You know about Cactus Jack, right, from WCW?" And I said, "Yep, I do." He said, you have to see this. All right? He goes, "I have it playing right here on the screen. I just want you to stay in here and watch a couple of the matches." Well, it was the King of the Death Match tournament. Now, the death matches have changed completely different. They're completely different now than what they were back then. But you had guys in there like Terry Funk, Cactus Jack, Terry Gordy was in there. They had, trying to think of some other guys. There was a bunch of Japanese guys. I think there was a guy in Japan at the time. It was put out by IWA Japan. The guy that played Corporal Kirshner in the WWF back in the 80s actually was doing a gimmick based on Leatherface from Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So he says, "I just want you to sit here and watch, if you watch anything, watch at least one match." I said, "Man, I don't really know, because I'm not a huge fan of like hardcore matches. Like, I'm a huge ECW fan, and those guys were at the ECW shows all the time. That's where I used to get my tapes from, and then later on DVDs. And I said, I don't know, man. He says, "I guarantee you're gonna love this." I said, okay. So I watched a couple of the matches. I actually missed a couple of the matches during the ballpark brawl because I was standing there watching it. And I said, "Are you selling this?" And he goes, "Yeah, actually, we're selling it on VHS." And it's a pretty sought after tape. I said, "Oh, okay. Well, if it's sought after, then I gotta have it. I gotta have it for my collection." So, and my collection was, it was growing. It was growing, not by leaps and bounds, but it was growing. It's not like it is today, but I had to have it. So I buy it, and I bring it home and I watch it. I start watching it, and I'm like, this is amazing. I've never seen anything like this. And then they come to the main event. So it was a tournament, so it ended up being in the finals, Terry Funk and Cactus Jack in this barbed wire exploding death match. And basically, as you're gonna see in the video, outside they had exploding boards with barbed wire on it. All the ropes were taken down, and barbed wire was replaced, or the ropes were replaced with barbed wire. The match is only 15 minutes. After the 15-minute mark, if nobody has won it, and they need to, I believe, if I remember correctly, they need to race to get out of the ring, and whoever's in the ring at the end when the ring explodes is the loser. So I was just amazed. I was just amazed by it. And I got the idea today. I was getting ready to go out with my wife, and I was listening to Busted Open Radio or Busted Open podcast, and they were talking about the death match. And one of the things that interested me about it was that Bully Ray, who doesn't really have a lot of good things to say about anything on the show, he's pretty brutally honest. That's what I like about him. He's brutally honest, and he'll tell you when he doesn't like something. Anyways, he says that they started talking about AEW doing this match, and the match is going to take place between Kenny Omega and Jon Moxley. And obviously the match is going to have to take place in, I don't think it's going to be taking place in Daly's place. I would imagine they're probably going to tape this similar to the way they did the Stadium Brawl. That was pre-taped. So, because they're going to... Daly's place is too small of an arena to have that in. You need to have it in a big arena. And as you're going to see, that the fans that are watching this, obviously it takes place in Japan, the fans are pretty far away from the ring. So, but that's my story on this. Enjoy the match, guys. Give it a chance. I'm going to say the same thing that Doug said to me back in the 2000s. Give it a chance. And, don't shit on it. If you don't like it, you don't like it. But this is the precursor to what's going to take place at AEW's pay-per-view. So, and there's some other death matches too. That Onita, who is huge in Japan, he is known as the King of the Death Match. But You can watch those on YouTube as well. Onita's a very good worker. Um, he was a technical guy, and now, or he's since retired, but now he is a hardcore legend. So let me get this queued up.
The Kawasaki Dream, which has become better known as the King of the Death Match tournament, was held on August 18th of 1995. I was now set to face the Funker in a no-rope barbed wire match that had the addition of C4 explosives rigged onto barbed wire boards inside the ring. Oh yeah, and at the 10-minute mark, the ring was going to blow up. When I went into the ring, I was scared but filled with a feeling of power that was not unlike my feeling of being on top of the scaffold in Fort Worth 6 years earlier. Some of the fans were chanting "Cock you thaw." Most of them were physically and mentally worn down from hours of sunshine and bloodshed. The Funker arrived in the ring to his decades-old theme music and chants of "Tally, Tally." He looked old and worn out. Hell, he was old and worn out.
These guys were pretty beat up from the previous matches too.
The bell rang and we stalked each other like Rocky and Apollo Creed in the last round of the original Rocky. Terry flicked out a couple of jabs that grazed my eye and opened the gas slightly. It was tough to get a rhythm going. Barbed wire matches were tough enough, even without the added presence of boards laced with explosives in every corner.
These guys really tell a story during this match too, so.
We tried to use the wire and we tried to do some moves. We fought outside and used the non-explosive boards. I even hit Terry with a half-used spool of barbed wire. We rolled back into the ring and Terry pulled one of the boards into the middle of the ring. Kawasaki Stadium started to buzz. This is what they had come to see. With the ominous board in the center of the ring, we picked up the pace. Punch for punch we went, and then I took over. Wham! A forearm staggered the grizzled veteran. Wham! Another one had him reeling. Terry was positioned directly in front of the board and was about to go down. 4 more forearms to the head, and the Funker finally fell like a tree into the explosives below. Boom! Oh. I brought Terry to the wire strands on his hands and knees. I draped him over and then took 2 steps back. I came with an elbow, but Terry moved out of the way and I landed awkwardly on the wire with my back and triceps, taking the brunt of the barbs. Terry picked me up and shot me into the wire. As I got closer, I became braver to the point that I thought, I'm going to take this whole side out. I'd done this twice at Cork and all, and it was impressive, but injuries were likely. I didn't really care at this point. I was pretty banged up already. As it turned out, the point was moot. The wire was strung so well that my entire body barely even made it sag. Oh, it ripped me up all right, it just didn't look right. The move bought Terry some time, however, and when I got up, another explosive blow was in center ring, and Terry was waiting with a hip toss. Ba-boom! Oh! Wait, what's this, I thought? I'm not even really hurt. Apparently, I'd been rolling with the hip toss, and in the split second between impact and detonation, I had narrowly avoided most of the explosion. I was victorious in my first match with Terry Gordy, even after suffering a powerbomb on 10,000 thumbtacks, and defeated Shoji Nakamaki in the semi-final. When I landed at JFK the next day, my dad was there to pick me up. I shook his hand and he guessed correctly that the previous evening had been a rough one. I deliberately kept my right arm, which was now a crusty brown from the previous night's explosion, away from him. I stepped into our rented house in Long Island and was met by a big reaction of, "Daddy, Daddy, Daddy." Colette gave me a hug and quickly said, "What's burning?" I played dumb. Colette persisted. "God, Nick, that's bad. Was someone smoking next to you on the plane?" By this time, I was twisting into some strange positions to keep my wife, children, and father from seeing my arm. My dad said goodbye, and when he stepped out the door, Colette was on me again. "Can't you smell something burning, Nick? It's awful." I finally answered, "Yes, I do, Colette," as I turned my right arm to my wife. "It's me." The next few months in 1995 seemed to blend together professionally. I feuded with the Funker in the U.S. and I feuded with the Funker overseas. The trips were long and the amenities stank, but I was selling my shirts and getting over with the fans. And the boredom of life so far from home was a price I had to pay. I read a hell of a lot over there and became better acquainted with my body. My hard work was paying off. I'd been gone from WCW for almost a year, and all although I hadn't made nearly as much money as I had with the big company, I had actually saved more of it. I didn't need anybody, and I could make my own schedule, and I loved it.
Yeah, Mick Foley and Sabu are the true pioneers for indie wrestling, with these guys making a name for themselves and not working for the big companies.
I had come back and had Terry entangling the wire in a bad way at the 9-minute mark. We had 1 minute until the ring was set to explode. My heart was racing as we faced the moment of truth. Finally, when the announcer started his 10-second countdown, I slid underneath the wire to watch this tremendous spectacle from outside the ring. 8, 7, 6. Terry tried to stand but fell back down. The fans were screaming his name. 5, 4, 3. And yes, they do count English in Japan. I don't know why. No matter what happened or how long it took, I was going to have Terry kick out of my pin attempt. He would be known forever as the guy who kicked out of the ring explosion. 2, 1. The 4 explosions that went off looked like Roman candles. I felt the whole match slipping away. Terry just stood up with his arms out to the side as if to say, hey, it's not my fault. I tried my best to think of a way to save the match, but came up with only one solution. Injuries were about to pile up. I stepped inside the ring. I put on a sloppy headlock. It was really just a setup. He lifted me slowly in the air and dropped me backward on the remaining explosive board. Ba-boom! The third sound was me screaming. I had landed in such a way that the damn explosive had gone off directly underneath my arm. I felt like I'd been shot. I should have stayed down forever, but I was so hurt and scared that I popped right up. Terry stayed down. A portion of the explosion had caught under his right triceps, and he was in considerable pain. I crawled to the outside and looked under the ring for something to play with. I saw a toolbox and a stretcher and pulled out a ladder instead. I rolled into the ring and shouldered the ladder lengthwise. As Terry turned, I charged him, and the impact of his head was so severe that I felt somewhat guilty. I got over it. I set up the ladder to the side of the fallen Funker. He was too close to land on, so I gave him a boot that moved him over. I ascended to the 5th step, about 6 feet in the air. The blood was really flowing from a cut in my hairline. It was so thick that it resembled more of a solid mass than a liquid. I stepped from the ladder and dropped a perfect elbow on Terry. Terry was really hurting now. As I rolled off him, I could see the anguish in his eyes. I tried to talk to him, but his mumbling was incoherent. I climbed the ladder again, but as I approached the 5th step, Terry got up and fell into the ladder. I felt like the guy in the old F-Troop fort as I felt the ladder tipping. I fell into the Barbwire and the consequences were steep. I opened up an angry gash in my right hand and a huge gash that almost cost me my video. took me quite a while to get up, and when I did, Perry still wasn't moving. He was down on his back again and was obviously too hurt to continue. I crawled over and draped my arm over him for a somewhat anticlimactic victory. The audience was confused but not disappointed. I had wrestled way too long and hard that day for my victory to be questioned. I was the king of the death match.
So that's the so that's the King of the Death Match. So the ring exploding, obviously it didn't explode the proper way, and I could probably find a Onita match, but I'm not gonna look for it because this tape, even though that the finish was botched, this tape meant a lot to me, and let me explain to you why. Doug Gentry is no longer with us, guys. He died at a very young age, and he was Rob Feinstein's best friend, and I believe, if I remember correctly, he died from having lead poisoning in his blood. So I'm not going to get into how that happened. I do know the story, but this tape meant so much to me that when I was converting all my DVD or VHSs over to DVDs, maybe about 10 years ago, I came across this and remembered the story, and I actually emailed Rob Feinstein, and he emailed me back, and he said it was a great story, and Doug was a good guy, and Doug was a good guy. He took the time to put over a not so popular thing, and basically RF Video made this tape into a sought after tape. So the whole deathmatch tournament itself was pretty wild. I mean, they had chainsaws and barbed wire and fire and all that good stuff. So but this this tape meant a lot to me, and I had to have it in my collection, and every time I watch it I just remember Doug, and how he took the time with me and explained to me about it, and got me to purchase it. So I did follow up with him after I watched the entire thing, and he basically said, "See, I told you so." So, but I followed up with him in person at one of the ECW shows, because those guys were always at the ECW shows, selling merchandise and selling VHS tapes and all that good stuff. RF Video is basically the king of the shoot interviews. So anybody that has ever seen a shoot interview, you know what I'm talking about, because these guys, they started it, and a lot of companies have tried copying it, but they don't have the knowledge on the wrestlers like RF Video does. And back in the day, Doug was a major part of that. So, and both him and Rob and Gabe Sapolsky, they were all part of ECW. And Gabe Sapolsky is now a producer for WWE, and he was there at the tables too, selling tapes. But those guys were all part of the ECW revolution, and I really miss Doug. He was a good guy, and obviously I still purchase stuff from RF Video and highspots.com. So that's that. Let me see if there's any news. Hold on one second. Let me see if I can get my browser pulled up. See if there's any news going on. Late breaking news. Guys, make sure you check out my my Facebook page, The Wrestling Angle 1. I have been doing a couple of the websites that I get when I get the news. I forward it to my Facebook page, and basically that's all I do during the day, guys. Is look up wrestling news, and before I started doing this stream, that's all I basically did. Was I'd go on my iPad and go on to Wrestling Inc. or the Wrestling Observer website and look for news. So, but make sure you check out my Facebook page. I always have postings on there of some of the latest stories. It looks like I mentioned during the Smackdown review, we're going to get a women's tag team title match at Elimination Chamber, so that's going to be pretty cool. Monday we're going to get on YouTube, we're going to get some more matches in the Elimination Tournament for AEW. We're going to get the Japanese side, and we're going to get the American side. Britt Baker's set to face off against Anna Jay, and Ty Conte is set to face off against Nyla Rose. So, as you guys probably figured out, I'm terrible with names, and even with wrestling, I'm terrible with names. So I apologize for that. It looks like New Japan is in significant talks to return to Access TV, so that'd be kind of cool. We'll get New Japan Wrestling in the U.S. on Access TV, which I like. It brings a new fan base. Although I do subscribe to New Japan World, their streaming service. So I basically get to see all their pay-per-views. Along with subscribing to the WWE Network. And then highspots.com, best $9.99 in the biz. So, it looks like one of the reasons why we haven't seen Heath Slater is because he's set to undergo surgery. He announced it on Twitter, I believe. Which is too bad because he was just picking up steam. It's probably why they brought in Matt Cardona too, because I think he was set to feud with Kurt Hawkins, and now Cardona is feuding with Kurt Hawkins on Impact. I guess Sammy Guevara has quite a bit of heat with the wrestlers in Impact for him canceling his match against, where he was supposed to be part of the surprise partner of Decay. You know what, to be perfectly honest with you, I wouldn't be too surprised if Tony Khan told him to cancel that, because it just wouldn't have worked. It was gonna be just stupid. And the guy that they got in there now, Black Taurus, he fits better in Decay. So one of the rumored things to happen was that Sammy Guevara was going to bring the X Division title back to AEW. So that may still happen down the line, but I think they're probably going to wait until the heat clears with Guevara. So before he makes his return to either AEW or Impact. We're going to get Jon Moxley facing Ryan Nemeth. That's Dolph Ziggler's brother, on AEW Dynamite next week. So that's pretty cool. Let's go over the 205 results. We've got Kurt Stallion, Jake Atlas, Mansoor, Ashante Theodonis went up against Matt Martel, Chase Parker, Soon Singh, Samir Singh, the Bali Rise twins. The baby faces beat this, or won this. I haven't watched 205 yet, so one of the things that I put on my Facebook page is don't sleep on these shows, guys, because this is a good way to see guys that aren't being used on NXT or the main roster. And they tape 205 after Smackdown, so or they show it live on after Smackdown on the WWE Network. So I mean, it's a good opportunity to see these guys that aren't being used. Kurt Stallion is a guy that was in Evolve, and he was just in the midst of getting a big push before Evolve actually closed. So we got Arya Davari. He defeated August Gray. Tony Nese joined the commentary for that. Any of you that gets a chance, go back and watch my show where we did a watch along with Tony Nese versus Johnny Gargano. That was a really good match. It's probably one of the best indie matches that I've seen at a local show. So definitely check that out. I mean, that's pretty much it. They had 2 matches for 205. It's only an hour long. So that's that. So like I said, don't sleep on shows like 205 Live, NXT UK. To what I hear, WWE is going to be broadcasting the Progress pay-per-view this Saturday. A lot of the UK talent came from Progress. So, and they put on some pretty good shows. So, make sure you check that out. You know, don't sleep on Dark. Don't sleep on Impact. These are good shows, and they're worth watching. So, just because I don't review them doesn't mean that they're not good shows. You know, any wrestling on TV, whether it's bad or good, it's worth watching. especially in times like now, where we are all basically stuck in the house and not able to do anything. So, we might as well have some type of entertainment. And wrestling is just about as good as entertainment as anything. So I think that's pretty much it for tonight, guys. I appreciate it. I went an hour and a half, and I basically wanted to review Smackdown because I said I was going to do that, and then like I said, I came up with the idea to show the Barbwire Death Match with Cactus and Terry Funk. So, and I wanted to, even though that the ring or the ending was botched, it's the story behind the VHS tape that means more to me than the actual match. You can go on YouTube and find any Onita match, and he's had tons of exploding death matches. So, exploding ring death matches. So, you can check that out on YouTube. But I want to thank everybody for joining me tonight. I want to thank my new followers. I got Eric Hayden, Vince Meese, Lunaboth2. Thank you for following on Twitch. Big Sean, I want to thank you for sharing this. Matt Johnson, thank you for sharing this on Facebook. Everything is much appreciated. You guys, like I've stated in the past, the closed fist is the reason why I got up enough guts to do this type of show. So I really enjoy watching those guys, and I said that, if they can do it, maybe I can do it. So I also Sean, Big Sean, if you're watching, which you're probably not because you're doing your own show right now, but if you watch the replay, I'm serious. I want to do that old school show with you and with Papa Russ. I think I could bring quite a bit of interest to the show, and like I said, I love talking about wrestling. So and it shows. But I want to thank everybody for joining me tonight. You can check me out on Facebook at thewrestlingangle1. Check me out on Twitter at ECW, the number 4 LFE. That's ECW for life. And you can check me out on Instagram at ECW, the number 4 LFE. So the ECW for life. And I want to welcome my YouTube followers, anybody that's watching this on YouTube live. We got it to work tonight, so I'm really happy about that. And so now we're on 3 platforms doing this show. So those of you that are watching me, I'm gonna try rating another streamer. So let me try doing that. The streamer is actually Tiny Pufferfish. She is a streamer that plays Call of Duty, and she's pretty fun to watch. So bear with me for 1 second while I figure out how to do that. Hope everybody enjoyed the show. Alright, let me try this real quick. Recognize command. Oh, wait. Let's try one more time. Sorry, guys. I'm still alive on. Real quick.
Too busy with the biddies. Appreciate you. Chad. Chad. Thank you, Chad. How was your stream? I think Hawk's got a thing for you. I'm doing pretty good, Fishy. How you doing?